Hey guys, Scott back again with a new beer dissection video for you. I have an interesting one today. It's not going to be unfamiliar to you, but you may not be aware that they've changed things a little bit. But what I have is New Belgium, originally from Fort Collins. I think they've been purchased out or bought out by some big beer. I don't think it was AB InBev. I think it was. It may even be Lion Beverage, Kirin. But anyway. The classic Fat Tire Ale, okay? Now, why I'm doing this one is I was told, or I learned that, I guess this January in 23 here, where I'm filming this in roughly mid to late April of 23, that New Belgium changed the recipe a little bit in this beer. I remember this beer, I've never done the old Fat Tire version, okay? On this channel since I've started the channel, but I've had it in the past. And I recall that being a little bit of almost like an English bitter, like a maltier bread crust, light, I don't want to say caramel, but a little bit more of a malt forward beer, kind of like an English bitter or English cask ale. So again, it's been several years. I mean, this is kind of New Belgium's. I think this was one of New Belgium's first beers years ago, and especially since they've been bought out. But they changed. It went through a whole new, I guess, even marketing, because the label looks a little bit different too. So again, I've had Fat Tire. I'm expecting this to be different, just because from what I've heard in all the beer vloggers and bloggers and beer tubers out there that have said that it definitely has changed. Even the cap, which has Fat Tire alternatively powered, I guess. Okay, so we'll take a look at it. No other distinguishing things on the label. 5.2% alcohol, and enjoyed by date June of 23. So again, this is pretty fresh. So again, I don't know what to expect. New Belgium's been around. They produce the Voodoo Rangers that you see out there that are very popular IPAs. And like I said, I remember this it was classified like an amber ale. If you go through the Beer Judge certification program, it wasn't one of the examples, but it was amber ale. So it was kind of like, bread crust, malt, light toast, things like that. Kind of like a subtle maltier beer with a little bit of bitterness to it. So we'll see what we got here, okay? So again, New Belgium Fat Tire. I guess you want to say the 2023 version of it. All right. So I'm just going to use nothing really special here today. I'm just going to use a typical shaker pint from my favorite brewery up in the Adirondacks, Lake Placid Pub and Brewery. So let's pour this out. Take a look at it. So I remember it being amber. It was classified technically as an amber ale, and I'm looking at this right now, and I can tell you right now it already looks different. So let's take a look at the color first. I mean, it's kind of a very light gold, pretty clear, other than my nucleation points on my glass. Pretty crystal clear, pretty looking beer, light gold, no haze at all. The head, it's kind of a white head, pretty tight, compact bubbles. Looks like it's going to sustain itself pretty well. But again, I remember the old Fat Tire was a little bit more amber. This one looks more like I don't want to say like Budweiser, but it definitely looks closer to, say, maybe an International Pale Lager, Munich Helles territory, Pilsner territory. All right, so let's take a sniff of the aroma. Definitely smells a little bit different too. I mean, again, it's been a while that I had the old version. You get a light fruit, herbal, or floral aroma to it. I mean, it's very pleasant. Okay, but very subdued. I mean, it's not, blowing you away. Not that I would expect that. This is not an IPA. Herbal, white breadish, kind of malt aroma. But like I said, light fruit, maybe a super light citrus, if anything, but more floral and herbal character to it. Again, I don't know what the grist and the hops are using on this. I guess if I dive really deep, well, listen, I may not even find it because, again, probably most of the stuff that's on the internet is on the old version. But nice, it seems pretty simple though. Nothing really too complex about this. All right, guys, well, cheers. Won't waste any more time. Okay, I'll take a swig of this. You can tell right away it's different. You kind of get that white bread kind of malt profile. Pretty well attenuated, pretty crisp. But I'm not getting that bread crust, light toast kind of that you would see in an amber ale. It's actually drinking. You kind of get that sweetness to the malt, like probably the two-row. But it drinks more like a, and I should say the bitterness is kind of low on this. Let me just talk about a few other things first. Medium carbonation, moderate carbonation. Like I said, kind of low bitterness, no alcoholic warmth. You still kind of get that herbal, floral flavor from the hops. It almost drinks more like a Munich Helles, or maybe a less bitter Pilsner, just a German Pilsner, but with less bitterness, and definitely more subdued hop flavor and aroma to it. But it's pleasant to drink. It's just very underwhelming. It's really, nothing's really standing out with this. It's just kind of like this crushable type of Munich Helles. Again, get that light herbal, floral hop character, neutral malt. I think nothing like the old Fat Tire. So I think all the things I've seen on the internet, this is confirming it. It's kind of a very neutral, almost like an upscale Heineken or something. Like, it has a little bit more malt profile than that, maybe a little more hop character to it, but definitely not as much as, say, like a good Munich Helles or a German Pilsner. But maybe an upscale Budweiser, an upscale Miller Lite, and things like that. Crushable, quaffable. A beer you can drink in volume without having to worry too much. But it's got that sweet malt, that's probably the most flattering thing I can say about that. Pretty nice, malt base, like a Munich Helles sweetness, but hops, not much there. Subtle flavor, subtle aroma, slightly spicy herbal floral type of hop character. I don't know what type of hops they're using. But definitely, I don't think as the malt profile is definitely more subdued than the old Fat Tire. And I think even on the hops, I remember getting a little bit more like earthy, woodsy kind of hops, more like English type of hops on the old Fat Tire. I wish I had it side by side. I think there was one beer tuber there that did it side by side. He was lucky enough to grab an old one. But you can see this is definitely a pale, you could say a dark straw, light gold, whichever way you want to lean. It looks nice. It's nice and clear, but it's just kind of like a very average beer. Again, nothing really stands out or anything that's spectacular to it. So if you were probably looking, you're a typical Bud Miller Lite drinker or something like this would probably elevate it a little bit in the sense of malt and hops, but definitely not if you like your German lagers, your German Pilsners, your German Munich Helles, or some of your craft breweries that do, kind of clones of those styles of different lagers. This is not something that you would particularly like. I'd give this, C, C minus. if I had it laying around and it was a hot summer day and you were trying to drink something that wasn't, you know, the mouthfeel wasn't really heavy, you wanted to be able to maybe consume a few without feeling all bogged down, this isn't so bad. So again, guys, today's beer dissection, New Belgium's Fat Tire. The name and the is not unfamiliar. It's been around for years, except this beer is definitely different. Lighter bodied, less malt backbone to it, lighter bodied, lighter, more white bread versus, say, like a toast kind of malt. Definitely more blonde, you know, closer to a blonde ale, I guess you could say, than a, even maybe a Munich Helles, but more like a blonde ale versus a true amber ale that the old Fat Tire was like. All right, but again, it's not horrible. It's just, you know, I have a pretty fresh bottle here. It's just really nothing outstanding about it, okay? Anyway, guys, till the next beer dissection video, have a good